Rainbow FM 90.7, and as is per usual here on Glory to Glory, the Monday evening edition, we're dealing with all things Christian media related and taking a look at the book titled The Spirit, a collection of everyday prophetic encounters. And we're in conversation with the author, Pindai Makhalima, who is with us in studio. Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you this evening?
Well, thanks. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for asking, actually. Thank you for joining us in a studio this evening. Before we get into the book, which I've been going through right now, actually, I was reading the last section, and there's quite a lot I learned in this book. We'll hopefully have enough time to deal with all my 1,000,001 questions. But more about the author. Just want to find out really quickly, who is Pindai?
How much time do you have? Wow. There's a lot to say, but I will try and compress it as much as possible. I like to say I'm a Sadek baby because I was born in Zambia, lived and grew up in Zimbabwe, went to varsity in Cape Town here in South Africa, and went back to Zim, came back here, so now I'm living in Joburg. So
Sadek baby, totally
Sadek
understand.
baby.
Now, when it comes to Pindai, the author, how did that all come about? Because people have aspirations of writing books, and was it always a thing that you said, one day I'm going to write this book? How did this book specifically come about?
Well, I never thought I would actually write a book.
Mm-hmm.
I was probably in mid-primary school when this idea popped into my head that I would write a book, but it's not this book.
All right.
And then then that kind of, it was just an idea, but it's always stayed in my memory. And I love reading. I've always loved to read. I love writing, just jotting down stuff. An idea pops into my head, I'll scribble it, on a piece of paper or in a book. And that's just always been me. But I've never seen myself as an author or ever thought about publishing anything, until 2013, when the Holy Spirit said, okay, so you need to write a book on this topic, on the spiritual realm. And I thought, great. I was so excited. I was like, hey, I've been given a project by God. And then when I actually thought about what that meant, I didn't do much until last year.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So since 2013 to around last year, that was just
to 2017.
Wow. Now I want to find out, because you said, you did mention that you're a reader as well, an avid reader, and that always comes across in a writer's work, that you can hear that this is someone who this is not the first time they came across words.
Yes.
And your voice comes across very strongly as well, even in the conversation. This is, one would expect this to be a very heavy book. It's titled The Spirit. So there's already this air of, I don't want to use the word spooky, but like all things deep that one would expect with this. But your voice really comes across very clearly, and sometimes even satire comes in this book. Is this specifically, was that your intention in the writing of the book, that you want to sound like yourself?
Well, there were two options. When I actually sat down, I thought, okay, how do I put this message across? And the reason it took so long to actually get stuck into it is because I was struggling with how to send the message without it becoming too heavy or too academic. That's not what I wanted. I wanted it to be a book that's easy to read for anyone, really. Even non-readers can, sort of be captured by what's happening, and for it to be almost like a friend telling you, what's happened.
Yes. Yes.
So storytelling rather than, educating, if you know what I mean.
Sure, I totally understand that. And I'll be honest, it totally does come across like that. As I'm reading, I understand. It almost sounds like I'm listening to a conversation more than just reading a book. So we're going to get into this now I know I made it sound very light, but the book is still titled The Spirit. So all things deep related. And we'll get into, before the short break, I want to find out the name of the book. Naming of books and titles of books, very important to me. How did the name come about, or was it simple because it's about the Spirit, therefore it is the Spirit?
It's interesting you asked that, because on that morning when I was given the instruction to write a book on the spiritual realm, the title that came up was The Spirit. But as the book progressed, it changed name. There was a time I was thinking, okay, I had a few options. None of them were really, really grabbed me.
Sure.
And then towards the end, when I was looking for people to kind of go through it and check, doctrinal issues and whether it's biblical, and just looking at things like, okay, some of them are personal experiences, and I didn't want for people to be able to see that, okay, this must be this person. So I was trying to remove sort of identifying
yes characters that are used.
Yeah. So that's what I was trying to do. So I got a few people that I know, some pastors, friends, all of them believers, to just go through it and just see, just based on that. And at that point, I had changed the name of the book to The Interface. So basically just trying to pick up on the fact that the spiritual realm and the physical realm do interface. They're very tightly connected. And then as I was praying into it more, it went straight back to the spirit.
All right,
That's
because God has the final say, I
exactly.
guess.